What's up? Hi guys. How are you? Good. Good. All right. I am excited to. I'm honored to be here with some of the great speakers that we had today. What an awesome event, and what hard work goes into putting together an event like this. So, will you guys join me in just giving a round of applause to all the staff and the volunteers, everyone that works so hard. All right, so my name is Davy, and I make this magazine called Found Magazine. And the idea is really simple. It's just notes and letters that people have found on the ground, found on the street. You know, you're walking down the street, you see some crumpled up piece of paper, and maybe it turns out to be a love letter, or a to-do list, or a journal entry. People find this stuff, they send it to me from all over the world. Really, you know, every single state we've received stuff from. And we just slap it together in a Found Magazine and these Found books. And so today I want to share with you guys some of my all-time favorites. And some brand new ones, just stuff I've gotten in the last month as I've been traveling around the country. I also work for a radio show called This American Life. Do you guys get that in this area? Yeah? Great. WHYY, you get it? Well, there's a piece that I did for This American Life a couple of years ago, but unfortunately it had to be censored for the radio. And I got permission from the people who organized this event to give you the uncensored version. So it's part of my new book, which is called My Heart is an Idiot. And so I'm gonna share with you this piece in just a few minutes. But let me just start off by giving you a sense of the kinds of stuff that people find and send into us all the time. It's stuff like this one. This one came from Brooklyn. My friend found this on the street in front of her apartment. It's written to a guy named Delane. This piece of paper is just blowing down the street. It's a handwritten letter. It says, "Dear Delane, you and I are just friends. That's the way I wish to remain. I like you, but only as a friend. I would be happy if this doesn't affect our bond as friends. Please understand, it's not because you're not handsome enough. It's just because you and I are friends and that's it. The reason you can't be my boyfriend is because I'm not as attracted to you as you are to me. To be honest, I just want us to be friends, that's all. It's your choice whether you want to be my friend or not. Signed, Julia. P.S. Let's just be friends." The woman that found that, you know, she said she wonders if Delane ever got the subtle hint that Julia just wanted to be friends. So many of the finds that we receive seem to revolve around love and relationships. Clearly, that's on a lot of people's minds. I thought I would start with a few of those. This one came from Portland, Oregon. It seems like it's a guy who's counseling his friend who's in the early stages of a relationship. So he's just trying to give him some advice. He says, "Don't rush things. Be her friend first. Take her out for lunch. Ask her, would you like to go out for lunch? My treat, please. Come on, please." So I like how he's, anticipating rejection for his friend before he's even had a chance. I love this one. In San Francisco, a woman told me she got to work in the morning and she found in the office fax machine these 3 mysterious faxes that had come through in the middle of the night. Just these handwritten faxes, and they got no idea who they were from. But they got the time code up top, so you can see when they came in. And the first one's from 2:36 a.m. It says, "I just want Gigi back. Tell me where she is and I'll come get her. Why are you doing this? Be a man." Whoa. Next one, a few minutes later. "This is cruel and emotional abuse. And why do you drive the women you're with crazy? They either join cults or want to kill themselves. Be a man for once in your life. If the world doesn't revolve around you, just let me have Gigi now. I can't believe you're even doing this. I will come get her. If not, I'm calling the police." All right? And then finally, the last fax at 2:56 a.m., it just says, "Sorry, wrong number." And there's if you look at I don't know if you can see up front, there's kind of like a, "oops, my bad" face at the bottom there. All right, now if you live near a school, if you work at a school, then you know that kids are great at losing stuff. The stuff they lose is usually pretty incredible. So my friend in New Orleans, he's a middle school teacher there, and he found this thing out in the playground one day. It's in a middle schooler's handwriting. It says at the top, Erica Rioja. Erica Rioja. "Erica, we the boys want to know. why are you going out with Nathan? And you like all of us in a way. Tell us why and list how much you like the person with their name. For example, Fred, not at all. Sorry for asking you all these questions, but we the boys want to know and get to the bottom of this. I'm always having to write these letters because the rest of the boys, they are some punks. You don't have to tell us right away, but do tell us. Me, Fred, and Ricky thought of writing to you. Well, really, it was just Fred. All the boys in the 6th grade likes you except for some. That means you are the finest girl in the whole 6th grade. A few of them like you because of you know what. But I don't. I like you because you have a pretty face, a pretty smile, and you're the only girl that has a little piece of hair coming down her face. I think that makes you even prettier. You said that was your own style, and I think that's so cool, or whatever. That's all for now, so I'll see you on the flip side. Peace out. P.S. Call me if you want to talk about something or tell me about myself. You know my number, and if you don't, then I'll tell you in your ear. Because I don't want any other girl but you to know my number, not even Aisha. Here's another one from a school, from South Bend, Indiana. It's amazing to read all the stuff that people find and send in to us every day. This one came from a middle school in, I think it was like a grade school in South Bend, and it's this kid named Justin Hensel. And Justin Hensel has written a report for class called What I Know About U.S. History. All right, so here's the front of it, here's the back. There's this drawing of Mickey Mouse on there, which doesn't relate to anything in the paper, but I just kind of love the drawing. But here's what Justin Hensel has got to say. He says, here it is. What I Know About U.S. History by Justin Hensel. Betsy Ross sewed the first American flag. George Washington was the first American president. George Washington was a general in the war. Martin Luther King was a civil rights leader. Chris Columbus discovered America. George Washington cut down his father's cherry tree with an axe that his father gave to him for his birthday. The Black Panther was started during the Vietnam War. The Sputnik satellite was launched. Man went to outer space. Malcolm X began his quest for freedom. The Constitution was signed. The Boston Tea Party happened. The anti-government group, the Anarchy, was started. King Tut's tomb was discovered. The stoplight was invented. The 1967 Ford Mustang Shelby was introduced. Nitrous oxide was allowed to be used in muscle cars, show cars, and modified racing cars for use in drag racing in 1978. Fine moment in U.S. history. You're coming on the road with us. Black people won the right for freedom. Hitler began the Nazi Klan. Ted Bundy was sentenced and committed suicide. Richard Chase was murdered. JFK was assassinated. Richie Valens died in a plane crash. Edgar Allan Poe's short stories and poems were published. Elvis died of an OD. Jimi Hendrix died. Jim Morrison died. Paul McCartney was knighted. Another fine moment in U.S. history. And finally, Justin Hensel was born. You gotta love that kid, Justin Hensel. All right, I'm a list maker. I'm always writing, I'm always making my own to-do list. So I love when people find to-do lists on the ground, on the street, on the floor of the bowling alley, on the subway, and send it to us. And so I have a few like that. This was a one-item to-do list found in Las Vegas on an elevator at the Palms Casino Resort. It just says, must win money. And then this one came from St. Louis. It says, to do today, turn in library books, find out about college, mail dad's shit, pay bills in advance, write crystal, hide guns. From Atlanta came this to-do list. It says, goals for today. Number 1, go to church, find God, then find myself through God, get baptized. Number 2, meet new people, party a lot, start drinking. Then this one came from Traverse City, Michigan, way up north. It's northern Michigan. And it says, to do today, create a circuit of pirate radio stations in the Traverse City area. Open an arcade. Open a coffee shop called The Joints. See all my favorite musicians in concert. Wipe out my entire Amazon.com wish list. Straighten out my left arm. Make my legs an even length. And then this one, this was the first ever to not do list that we had ever received. It says at the top, the to not do lists, found in Burlington, Vermont. So it says do, maybe one of you wrote it. Do not spend money on anything except clothing for Halloween, grocery items, Sarah's birthday dinner, sushi, metal show, and the movie Kill Bill. Save all other money. Do not fall in love with any strangers. Do not procrastinate the trip to Japan. Do not eat junk, any form of potato or corn chips. No Fritos, no Lay's, no Ruffles, no Cape Cod, nothing. Do not start another tab at work. Do not fret over Wendy, or in any case, being alone. Do not borrow money from mom. Do not eat at Oasis or any shit food place. Do not watch pornographic movies. Do not masturbate. Do not masturbate. From Hartford, Connecticut. This is another one found outside of a school. It's in the kid's handwriting. It says, things to do. And the first three have been crossed out. So the first three, I guess, have been done. Things to do, get a new skateboard deck, crossed out. Think of band names, crossed out. Get lawn mowing service going, crossed out. The last two, still yet to be done, hook up with Jen, make it to the 6th grade. All right, I want to share with you this piece it was banned from This American Life. It's not banned here at the Colonial Theater. College campuses, great, best place to find stuff. I like to go, I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I went to the University of Michigan. What's up? Go Blue. Big game today. How we doing? Playing Minnesota. So at the campus computer center by the printers, people would print out all these reports. There was always, and then they'd leave them behind. Whether it was an email or reports. I used to sift through that stuff, looking for stuff. Well, here's one that came from Austin, Texas, found on University of Texas campus outside of a dormitory. It says, Jenna, can I give you a sensual massage? Then I will talk about Jesus. My shoulders are sore. I could use some spiritual guidance. Where's that guy when you need him? I found this one actually myself. When I was first starting Found Magazine 10 years ago in Chicago, I found this on the DePaul campus. And it was a flyer, kind of ordinary flyer, a guy looking for roommates. But there was a couple weird things about it. First of all, there was 200 of these posted all over the DePaul campus, each one individually handwritten. Dude, Kinko's, man, check it out. Starts out pretty normal. He says, hey, I'm looking for a roommate in Lincoln Park. Male or female, reasonable rent, lots of room, cool, responsible, laid-back guy. For more info, call 847-647-7700. Ask for Dan. Here's where it gets a little weird. He says, please call after 10:45 or 11 p.m. to 12:45 a.m. or 6:30 to 9 or 9:20 to 11:30 a.m. Call ASAP. What is this guy doing from 9 to 9:20 every morning? He can't answer the damn phone. Having a sensual massage? Talking about Jesus? I don't know. All right, let me share with you this piece. So here's the story. I love working with This American Life. I was a fan of the show before I ever started working with them. And Ira, though, he called me up. Like we'd worked on this piece for a few weeks. And what it was about, well, here's the book. It's My Heart is an Idiot. It's just personal stories about my own misadventures in love and relationships, and also about interesting people I've met over the last 10 years traveling around doing Found Magazine. And I'd written this piece and shared it with him, and he said, this would be great for the show. But a couple days before it was set to air, he said, we're going to have to bleep out the title of the story. It's the 4 most important words of the whole essay, And I was like, well, why? Because it's not curse words or anything. The piece is called Nibble, Lick, Suck, and Feast. And I was like, is it nibble? Is it feast? Which word was so objectionable? He said, all 4 together. You cannot use all 4 of those words together on public radio. But we can here at the Colonial Theater, so let's dig in. This takes me about 5 minutes to read this thing, and then I'll wrap up with just 1 or 2 of my last all-time favorite finds. So here we go. And this piece, what it's about is one of the early Found tours we went on. We went to 50 states because we realized there was stuff in the Found book from all over the country. And we did a lot of publicity. We did the Letterman show a few times, which was fun, getting to meet my favorite actors, Jamie Foxx, stuff like that. But we also did a lot of TV stuff that was less glamorous, the morning show in Amarillo, Texas, stuff like that. So this piece is about some of those experiences, and it's called Nibble, Lick, Suck, and Feast. A few years ago, a publisher put out a book I put together called Found. based on the annual magazine I produce, which collects love letters, to-do lists, journal entries, and other personal notes that folks around the country have plucked up off the ground of the street. To help spread the word, I bought a van on eBay and hit the road with my brother for an 8-month, 50-state, 136-city tour. The publisher's publicity team managed to get me booked on local morning TV shows in most of these cities. How it worked, I'd show up at the station around 6:30 a.m., a producer would clip a little microphone on me, and somewhere between weather and sports, one of the morning show anchors and I, we would talk about the book for 2 or 3 minutes. Early on in the tour, I took these gigs pretty seriously. After all, the publicists and TV stations were clearly doing me a huge favor by spreading word about the book. In Philadelphia, Boston, and New York, I made sure to arrive early, act energized, and be prepared with cool found notes to share. But by the 3rd week of the trip, I was starting to wonder who exactly, if anyone, was watching the local news at 7 a.m. Also, while a couple of these hosts were real cool and genuinely enthusiastic about the book, most of them didn't get me or the whole idea behind Found. Yet this only increased their chipperness and jaunty dawn enthusiasm. Those pants are so fun, they'd say, looking me up and down. Plaid pants, you're fun, huh? What kept me excited about these TV gigs was getting to meet and hang out with the other folks who were my fellow guests on the morning shows. These were local chefs with recipes of the week, mayoral candidates, a team of Irish dancers, a kid with an 80-pound pumpkin. In Baltimore, on Fox 5's Good Morning Baltimore, I did my little Found song and dance. Then the anchor asked me to stay on her couch while she brought out the next guest, Baltimore's best mom. This is right before Mother's Day. Baltimore's best mom turned out to be an 87-year-old woman named Darnell Cole. She sat next to me on the couch. On the far side of her sat her 50-year-old son, Dice. Darnell had no idea why she'd been asked to come on TV. They had plotted this as a surprise. The anchor asked Dice Cole to read the letter he'd written nominating his mother for the prize, and Darnell grew weepy. At last, the anchor declared Darnell Baltimore's best mom and produced an oversized plaque from somewhere and presented it to her, at which point Darnell fell sobbing into my arms. I gave her a wild bear hug, caught up in the moment. The anchor woman joined our embrace. Dice, meanwhile, had lit up a cigarette, which an alarmed producer raced over and doused with a splash of water. Darnell took this in and began hollering at her son and whacking him with her new plaque. Dice, you can't smoke in here. This is TV we're making. What you thinking, boy? Put that damn thing out. There were other high points. And by high points, I mean low points for the stations and their guests. In Cleveland, 2 city parks employees showed off an injured hawk and falcon they'd rescued and rehabilitated. Then the falcon got loose and started flapping about, crapping on everything. The anchors had to forge on through the local news and sports and weather while the falcon continued to dive bomb them, rationing its poop so it had enough to drip a few drops on them with every sortie. It was fucking amazing. In Chicago, a young soccer champ who they invited on to demonstrate his fancy moves booted a ball off the wall of the set, knocking it over backwards, revealing the fact that we were not actually in the host's living room, as it might appear, but in the middle of a big dank concrete hangar. In Phoenix, I was sandwiched on air between Cedric the Entertainer and the governor of Arizona. Cedric came on right before me, dropped a couple F-bombs, and then sheepishly left, telling his chaperone, I didn't mean to say that shit, it just came out, I swear to God. Often my brother and I, we do a Found event in one city, hit the road for 7 hours, taking turns driving all night. And we get to the TV station parking lot in Louisville or Milwaukee around 4 a.m. for a couple hours of sleep, before it was time for me to unfold myself, clump inside all rumpled and bleary-eyed, and do my thing for 90 seconds on air. In the wee hours, security guards in the station lots would poke flashlights in our van windows and roust us. And I'd explain I was going to be a guest on the morning show, and they'd disappear for 20 minutes to check into it, then come back and wake us again and tell us that things had checked out and everything was cool. In Seattle, after a young security guard played this game with us, I asked if I could come inside to use the John. We ended up talking for a while. His name was Pico. It turned out the station was moving soon to brand new, larger digs, and that Pico was going to be replaced by an automatic gate with a swipe card. Pico asked why I was going to be on the morning show, and I explained to him the whole idea behind Found. Notes and letters that people had found and sent in to me, little scraps that gave a glimpse into the lives of strangers. Pico got excited. He told me that earlier that very same night, he'd been sifting through boxes that were being tossed out before the station's big move. Just looking for mugs, t-shirts, old calculators, anything of value. And he'd found a bunch of racy notes from the morning show's old dour anchorman to a young camerawoman. We galloped out back to the dumpsters and mucked about until we found the stack of steamy pages. You should read some of these on the show, Pico cried. I resisted for a bit, but Pico was vehement. This guy's a Class A asshole, he said. I'm telling you. He got a janitor fired for throwing out his lucky tie that he left on the bathroom floor. She had worked here 8 years. 3 hours later, we were on the air. The anchorman turned to me with a grumpy look. So tell me about this book. You collect trash, is that it? You like trash, trashy, trash. One person's treasure is another's treasure. He might very well have been drunk at 7:15 in the morning. Respect. Yes, sir, I said. People are finding this stuff all over the country and sending it in to me. Some of it's hilarious, some of it's heartbreaking. It's amazing how powerfully you can get a sense of someone just from some little ripped piece of paper you pick up off the grass, like this one, for example. I held his note up high and read it out loud. Stacy, you've got a rack on you, now that's a pair. I will nibble, lick, suck, and feast on them. Quit playing hard to get. What an expression that fellow had on his face. Back in the lobby, Pico stood with two janitors by a big TV, and as I walked past him out into the bright, blurry morning sun, Pico smiled, gave me a nod, and said with pleasure, "Good job, man, good job." Thank you, thank you. Let me read you this last all-time favorite find. What happened, as we traveled around the country? We get to meet the people who have found the stuff that's in the magazines and in the found books. And in Providence, I met the woman that found my all-time favorite find. She had found this in her front lawn. The wind had just blown this thing into her yard, this note in kids' handwriting. So it says at the top, Adventure Club. Adventure Club. How to get into the club? You need to know how to climb a fence. You need to like adventure. And then the rules. No messing up the club. Don't bring anything in without permission from Shane or Ethan. You have to be nice to squirrels. And finally, most importantly, you can't tell anyone where or what the club is. So the woman that found this, she thought she might know who Shane and Ethan were. These neighborhood kids, she'd see them running around. So she went up to them on the street a few days later and started asking them about the adventure club and reciting all these top secret rules. So the kids are shocked, how does she know all this classified information? She told them that her dog, named Kismet, had overheard them making up the rules. The kids were speechless, and as they're walking away, she heard the youngest one say to his friend, "Whoa, Kismet heard us." So, we saw her last fall in Providence. Years have passed. These kids are probably 20 years old now. She said she still likes to imagine them being really secretive around any dog after that. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. TEDxPhoenixville. We out. See you out there.